Right, the Thursday, September 5th meeting of the Water Quality Management Committee will come to order. Everybody has an agenda. First item on the agenda is discussion and vote on proposed flow neutral bylaw draft. We met last week on this. Some changes were made as a result of the input at that time. A final version was emailed out to everybody. Is there any comment or criticism or motion to accept it and move on?
I have a question.
Sure.
Quickly. Does the governor's announcement that he's going to change the rules concerning what people can do who have gone into the sewer system, does that change at all anything?
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Oh, just today the governor announced that they've passed a law saying that people may pay betterments on Cape Cod over 30 years.
That was a special act for the town of Barnstable, which is identical to one of the provisions in the special act we're proposing for Falmouth.
I thought it was for the Barnstable County.
Nope.
Okay. Okay.
Just
I read it wrong. Okay.
So yeah, flow neutral bylaw. Everybody's seen it.
I'll make a motion that we accept it as printed.
Okay. Made and seconded. Comment? Discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Well, he should have turned off his phone. Aye.
Any opposed? Nay? All right.
And Eric, just before we move on, I assume we're now is the appropriate time to pass that on to the planning board and the Board of Health.
Well, it's going to the selectmen for their consideration for town meeting tomorrow. And right, the other boards at that point should get it from us, I guess, whether we might check with the
We
selectmen.
might just check with Julian to say now that it's been submitted to him, so the other boards can be fully informed.
Right.
We're going to distribute it to them.
But the planning board already asked for it, and I said wait till
Yeah,
Friday.
and I've already put it on the agenda for next Monday night's
All right.
Board of Health meeting.
All right, well then, I guess,
I think it's just keeping Julian informed.
yeah, we gave him a copy yesterday, so,
Yeah, my plan was to bring this over to town hall tomorrow and officially file it
right, yeah,
and get it time stamped or whatever.
Right.
And then Julian will ask. Did you
Good.
send him an email?
And Jennifer Petit is actually putting the warrant together, and she asked for an electronic copy
yeah. I told her we would send her electronic copies of all three of these tomorrow,
tomorrow.
in case any changes
Well,
took place
exactly.
tonight.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
so she'll have them. All right. Second item on the agenda, discussion and vote on proposed special legislation article. That one was brought up last week. I'll give credit again to Ron for the homework. And in the week that passed, since a week ago, the town of Barnstable has joined these other towns in looking for a 30-year option, which we just talked about.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
I was confusing the two somehow.
Yeah, town of Barnstable.
So now there's about 5 or 6 towns that have that provision, and so we're not too radical. So everybody's seen it. It came around. No one had any changes last week. Anybody have any observations or changes this week? Not a motion to accept that one would be in order.
I'll move it.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
We should.
This is the point.
Yeah.
I was just funny because Barry had read something at the last meeting. I did look at this. I became one of the worldwide audience viewers.
I'm sorry. Where were you?
No, I had a family.
Oh, okay. But you were watching.
No, I didn't know. It's
Later.
not live.
Yeah,
it was
later.
later. Anyway, there was something about the 50-year thing, and I think one of the provisions
Right. That was in the special. It was in the Environmental Bill of 2008. The
Yeah, this is independent
O'Leary
from
language,
that.
but it wasn't before us.
So I mean, it's not. Yeah. Okay. So that's what I just wanted. Yeah. I mean, this makes sense relative to the other general laws for 30 years. So
We suspected the 50-year would raise an issue for you.
if we were to adopt
but
it.
it wasn't taken up, it wasn't accepted. Okay, the third one, which will take some time tonight, because this is the first time the committee has had a chance to discuss this, is the discussion and vote on the proposed eco toilet article, which Wynn and Matt prepared. And Wynn, do you want to speak on that, since that seems to have,
I wonder where is this good?
or do you want to wait for Matt to come back?
I'll just say a couple of words. Basically, Matt prepared most of the language that's in here, and I prepared the format to put it in. And so I suggested a few changes in the language which would make it fit this format, and then we submitted it to for a look-see to Frank Duffy, and he agreed that this format was better than Matt's format, and a couple of the things that were in here where he agreed with. Particularly, one thing I'd like to mention that Matt had in his format, that we would also change 180-6.
The sewer use bylaw.
Yeah, the local bylaw.
Presumably after the legislature.
Well, it was one thing, and I pointed out to Matt that we couldn't do it until the legislature did this.
Right.
And Frank Duffy agreed with that, so we left that out, and we have not brought forth a 180.6 to put in there, because this won't be done by town meeting, presumably.
Right.
If it is, what do we do?
We'll address that when it happens.
okay.
But if you're waiting for the legislature to do something, they won't be doing it before town meeting.
So whether or not this would require 180.6 to be modified or not,
Right.
whether it would require that or not, we're not going to do it now. So that takes it out.
Great.
And I'm just interested to see what people's response to this is.
Okay. I know you have some proposed edits. I have some proposed edits. There may be other proposed edits. Let's start with yours.
Okay, I can pass them out. I just did a track changes, and they just have to do with some of the things that I thought would be helpful.
I think it'd be good to get Matt in on this before we do it.
Before we take this up, do you want me to give a brief update?
We need to kill a little time to get Matt back here.
Move to table item 3.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to table item 3.
And moved on.
Okay. You want to rescind your motion?
Sure, I'll,
What is the motion?
I was,
We were going to table this article, this piece, until you got back.
I'm here.
Okay.
Sorry, this didn't work.
All right. Maybe you can pass these guys along. Well, these are more suggested edits.
All right. Oh, well, we have to absorb these a little bit. Do we have?
Can I have one?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's 3 there. And it should be going.
Is this yours?
Yes,
Okay.
as you can see, it's not as technologically proficient as the other one.
Oh, well, that's fine.
But anyway, let's start with Sia's.
Okay.
And
Do yours. All right, so these were changes because I thought it would sort of continue the spirit of what was trying to be said and codified. First of all, that we want the 62 people who are being exempted to comply, to participate in the Eco-Toilet Incentive Program and adhere to all the requirements. And the reason I'm suggesting that is because we'd like to be able to get the benefit of testing and getting the data on the cost of their installations. And so if we're giving them, if we're giving them an exemption from a betterment, it would be nice to have them enrolled in the program and have that be a requirement of them getting exemption. Because I think of this as an incentive for them.
Well, that was the intent of that language, but you made it clear, so that's fine.
Okay. And that's what I was trying to do, because there are a lot of requirements, not an onerous amount, but there are more than just those two. And and then just grammatically, I think it's good to specifically call out that they must comply with the provisions of Title V. I added the Uniform State Plumbing Code, because I think that's another big and then implement an authorized monitoring plan. So that was more grammatical, but I wanted to add the 248 CMR requirement. And then the last change I made is that at the end it says the board or officer having charge of sewers, and we have in our sewer bylaw that that's already been designated as the board of selectmen. So just
Okay.
thought we should name it what it is.
Okay,
I have no problem with any of that, personally.
Nor do I.
all right, motion to accept those amendments, those changes?
So moved.
Made and
Second.
seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that's good.
Now, let's go on to
This is just after the fact. Does this mean now we increased $5,300 stipend to all 62? Because to be part of the incentive program.
Well,
Maybe it's to be discussed later.
That's not a language question for this article.
Grant up to 62, so.
Okay, so that's not on the table. with
Right,
this.
what's on the
No,
table is the
no, it's
language
not on the table.
of this town meeting article.
Up to, so.
I just remark, our intention is that if we need 62, we will, if we need 62 to establish what we need to do, we still have the money available once the selectmen have decided to use it, if we get that far in the program. Okay? So, yes, we intend to use that 5,300 to apply to all of them, but we haven't done that yet.
Okay, I'll translate the hand scribbling for you.
Yes, please.
Okay. When we get to the name of this thing, currently it says an act to exempt up to 62 echo toilet, da, 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 da. I would change it to say an act to authorize the Board of Selectmen to exempt certain echo toilet installations. I don't think you need to spell out the number. I think it becomes a red flag at the town meeting and at the legislature. They're going to say, where'd you get 62? And you're going to say, well, it's our program. And they're going to say, what makes you think you're going to have 62 in the sewer service area? And your answer is going to be, we don't. It's a conversation you don't need to have. So that's the point of that change.
Authorize certain,
Authorize the board of selectmen.
Right, an act to authorize the Board of Selectmen to exempt
Exempt
certain
certain.
echo toilet installations, blah, 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 blah.
So strike
But
out
you're leaving,
up
you're
to
gonna leave,
62.
you're gonna leave 62 down under the
No,
second line
no,
of section
no,
one?
I'm coming to that.
Oh.
Coming to
It's
that.
down,
Give me
yeah.
time.
okay.
No. Okay, so I need a motion on that one.
So moved.
Fine.
Well, each one, because
You have to define.
I move
I just,
to accept that amendment.
okay. All in favor? Aye.
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 Well, I mean, my vote on that depends on whether you're leaving it down below. I mean, I guess my vote doesn't matter, but if you just say certain and you never clarify it,
May grant,
some people are gonna think you mean all eco-toilets in the future, which is a different concept.
Well, it's the act that provides the selectmen the authority to exempt certain eco toilet installations, and it's up to the selectmen.
Which it should be
Exactly.
anyway.
Is it a certain number or certain?
I'm trying to get away from the number
Yeah.
for reasons previously stated.
So you strike out up to 62.
Yes,
and
yes,
replace that with
exactly,
certain.
exactly,
Exempt certain eco-toilets.
exactly.
Now,
Could be less.
would this mean that every time an eco toilet was put in a particular location where it could be exempted, that the Board of Selectmen would have the choice to do that or not?
That's what this legislation would do.
Each
no
one
matter how you
separately,
phrase it.
they
Yeah.
would have to go to each one separately, rather than the Board of Health making.
No, it's the Board of Selectmen. I think that's.
No question, it's the Board of
that's a
Selectmen.
Yeah, this is an exemption from betterments.
Right. Yeah,
So
this is not,
it could be lumped together at that time when they decide on betterments.
it's not a question, it's not a Board of Health question.
So the approvals would still come from the board, the individual approvals for the technology and how it's tested would come from the Board of Health.
Right.
Yes.
But the exemption for the betterment would come from the selectmen.
Each exemption for the betterment would come before the selectmen as a
Right.
separate thing, unless they said that certain things
Time
would
of
be
the
met.
betterment, you have to know who's in and who's out.
Yeah.
But the eco-toilet group wants to use this as an incentive to get people to begin the process, to not have it as a risk in their financial future,
Yeah.
to know what their costs and savings will be. So you could have the Board of Selectmen, after this was passed, pass some sort of blanket regulation that up to 62, so that then people would know what they had available to sell.
Matt?
Well, I think it's clear that it's up to the selectmen either way. I mean, the betterments depend on the selectmen in the end, according to this language. But I think the selectmen will understand that we're doing this for the demonstration project, and they will limit it as such to the amount that we need. We may not even get to 62.
Yeah, I
But I'm
need
also
62.
concerned that it not be too cumbersome for you, that each time you get a new person, you have to go to the Board of Selectmen. You don't do that either.
They could just say they're going to do 62, up to 62.
Okay.
And the relief from the betterment only comes in the Little Pond Sewer Service
I
area.
think this is, how many of the current participants and prospective participants in this program are within the sewer service area at Little Pond?
None right now.
None. Okay, so this is not a problem.
Right.
Right.
It's an incentive, but putting the 62 in doesn't help you.
Yeah,
There's also a time limit on this. The collection system will be constructed, and when that project is done and the known amount for the cost is there, then the betterment will be set. And so at that point, it seems to me that's the end of this legislation.
Yeah.
For Little Pond.
For Little Pond, for the Little Pond Sewer Service area. Futures,
it could be if we sewer some other area of town and some people,
you'll probably want to revisit this, but it doesn't.
well,
You and I will be dead.
but this would still be the question whether if someone today puts in an eco toilet in, let us say, in the Green Pond area or the Great Pond area,
Yeah.
and we decide 4 or 5 years from now that we're going to go ahead and sewer a portion of that area, and they happen to be in there, would this apply to them at that point?
This doesn't, well,
If the selectmen authorize.
Yeah, it's really up to the selectmen.
Well, yeah, but
okay.
the selectmen's authorization this would still apply, and the selectmen would have to authorize it at that point, presumably.
Right. Well, okay. The particular piece I was trying to get rid of is the second line where it says up to 62. I didn't think it helped you in the title, and I don't think it helps you in here. So I was hoping to get agreement that it should come out.
So that up to 62 should also come out.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
It just says, you can change that to the.
May grant
Board of
exempt-
Selectmen,
Well,
may grant
later on, it says it's,
exemptions.
yeah.
That's all,
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
right?
Mhm.
But I just have one thing about Steve's point, is that I think when people sign up to the program, there would be, maybe at that time, they get an agreement with the Board of Selectmen and some of whoever is authorized, that they don't have to, that they will be exempted in the future.
Right.
So there is that would be sort of part of the
Application process.
Yeah.
I would just,
The agreement would have to be changed, because right now the agreement says may. And that agreement went through 2 or 3 different hurdles with different people.
I don't
was just
see
trying-
why that has to change.
I don't know.
no, that's fine.
So it's in there, that they know it's a quasi-risk, but now with this, you can give them
Okay,
a copy
it's
of
in there,
that.
okay.
Right, and one thing, it does say that the Board of Selectmen shall adopt regulations within 120 days after the adoptions, establishing publication and notification procedures to carry out the purposes of the
I see,
section. When they're
okay.
doing that, I think that would be the time.
Yeah.
To represent to them that they should,
To do
yeah.
there.
No. Mhm. Okay.
Okay. My next little piece here would be the line that ends, homeowners or business property owners who agree to participate. I would change that to who are chosen to participate, because you may find some who want to but can't for one reason or another, and you don't want to give them any rights.
It's fine.
Yeah.
You're crossing out up to 62 in the previous line.
Yep.
And are chosen to participate.
Crossing out who agree to and putting in are chosen to.
Is that all the second one has? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You also
I had the piece off on the right here, in the proposed Lower Little Pond service area, but the discussion I just heard suggests you don't want to limit it to that, so we won't. All right. The next sentence, all of these participants must agree to, and I was just changing that to say, participants must comply with all requirements. That's sort of a spin-off on what you did.
Yeah, you
Must
came
apply
with the way
with.
I did it? Must.
Sure.
Must
Yeah.
participate?
Fine, sure.
Okay,
Leave
so
that
we've got
alone.
that covered.
Okay,
So we're just getting rid of all of these?
yes.
We're not getting rid of this.
The words "all of these" comes out because participants covers the situation.
Okay, I see, okay. Participants must,
Agree.
And now you're getting into her, the language we just adopted for her.
The resolution to invade this area was easy.
This is going, after what we went through with you and John on that other bylaw, I think you have no standing to tell us.
See, John, what you guys?
Made it, you're making everything else. All right, so.
This is not Turkey and Greece.
must agree to participate is fine then. in
Must
that
agree.
Yeah,
Okay, must agree to comply with all requirements, whatever you got there.
what must agree, and then everything that I wrote on is the one we're going to say.
It must
You
comply,
should
later.
use the word
All of
"add"
these,
here.
And then you go over to Steve's version.
yeah.
Right.
Can I just back up? Sure. We took out, in the second line of your section one, we took out up to 62. Should we just say, take out the word certain in the title up here, just saying actually exempt installations?
Well, it's certain ones, because you don't want somebody coming in and saying, well, I put one in one room, and that's an eco-toilet installation, so that should count. I mean, you want to make it clear that it's the ones the selectmen pick that are part of this program.
Yeah.
Okay, right here,
Yeah.
because later on it says, it's a grant, okay,
Yeah.
that's fine, okay.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
I don't think the title of the act is binding, is it not?
So you don't want to confuse people.
Yeah, it's okay, that's fine, makes the words like.
It is probably the language that they'll see in town meeting. But you're right, it could change.
So what's this next one?
Agree to submit to a town authorized plan. It seemed a little awkward.
Agree to
Steve's
comply.
version is pretty
Okay,
good.
have you cleared that up already? Yes, you did, implement. That's okay, fine. So we got that one, never mind that one. Okay, section 2. Second line, as we start, said property owners may opt to connect. They're not returning to a system they were ever in.
Fine.
Yeah, I think so.
Right.
That's good.
And will retroactively pay betterment fees if their property lies within the sewer service area and complies with.
Do you want to have that even though we didn't have it above?
Well, it's saying the service area. It didn't say which one.
There is no betterment.
Then they're not going to be exempted from anything.
There is no betterment.
There's no betterment.
Need
no.
for that.
Well, I think, and here's my
Someone might
concern.
be in the future. Not Little Pond.
This is a concern, and it may be one we're going to run into fairly soon. When this goes to DEP for their input, they may have a concern about anyone in the sewer service area being exempted from anything.
But this hasn't passed yet, so.
True enough. And this is, yes. Okay, we can leave it alone if you want.
They can object all they want if it turns into a home rule petition. For successful.
If the legislature wants to overrule, they can do that. Okay, and you fixed the part about the board or officer, it's now the board of selectmen. So, okay, so those were mine.
And so there's no reference to any sewer service areas in this right now. I might read it back to everybody, just to make sure I got it right.
We don't specifically say which sewer service areas. I think we do talk about them being in a sewer service area.
So we're leaving that in, this after property, between property and complies, we're going to,
But they're not in a sewer service area. How will they be exempted?
They wouldn't.
If they're in a future sewer service area.
But if you look at the sentence, it makes sense. I think so.
So, since we've been doing all of these amendments by motion and second, do you move that that wording should be in?
I'll move that all of the amendments in the two preceding paragraphs, all of Eric's amendments be approved.
Except the ones that we struck out because they were already correct.
Yeah.
Except the ones that we didn't. Yeah.
The whole thing to everybody?
Yeah.
Yes,
Would that-
yes.
And
There's another way of doing it. It's basically the ones that were accepted, correct me if I'm wrong. Basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 small things on CEDAs. If you cross out up to 62 in 2 places, put the word certain in the title, cross out agree in section 1, put are chosen to, cross out all of these.
This is a simpler way.
Because, I mean,
She's going to read it that way, hopefully.
I mean, anybody can make these changes quickly and then you've got it in front of you.
But, okay, go ahead with that, but I think you're right. At the end, you should read it.
Yep, I'm following him, yep, so
Okay.
all of these
Go ahead.
crossed out.
And then in section 2, you change return to connect.
Yes. And
we're
Lies
still
within-
hanging out here with these additional words. Lies within the sewer service area and
Into-
complies.
Right.
I can't read it myself, but I wrote it.
and I can, that's scary.
That is scary.
So I'm still waiting to hear from Matt whether that language is okay.
I think you said that was
It is okay, and I so move.
good. Okay, we have a motion
Second.
and a second.
Question.
Maybe redundant, but it's okay.
On section 1, the first line, it says the town of Falmouth, is that the Board of Selectmen? Or is it the same? Meaning the same.
Where's that?
Section 1, first end of the first line, it says the town of Falmouth.
The Board of Selectmen.
It is the Board of Selectmen.
How about the Board of Selectmen
of
of the town of Falmouth? There we go.
Okay.
All right.
How about the town of Falmouth?
What
Board of
is the
Selectmen?
town?
Board of Selectmen, any way you want. Okay.
Now, what, are we
Do you need a couple, we haven't taken a vote on that last motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Got it.
I can read it.
You got them all now? Okay. Are we ready to hear the reading of the finalized motion? Go.
I'm not going to read the article. I'm going to read an act to authorize the Board of Selectmen to exempt certain eco-toilet installations from sewer connections and associated betterments in the town of Falmouth. Be it enacted by the Senate and House of Representatives and General Court assembled and by the authority of the same as follows, section 1. Notwithstanding any general or special law to the contrary, the Board of Selectmen of the town of Falmouth may grant exemptions from future sewer connections and betterment fees attributed to sewer connections for homeowners or business property owners within the sewer service area who are chosen to participate in Falmouth's eco-toilet demonstration project by installing either composting toilets or urine diverting toilets, together designated eco-toilets, or any combination of the two in all sanitary facilities on their premises. Participants must agree to participate in the eco-toilet incentive program and adhere to all the requirements of this demonstration. All eco-toilets installed for the demonstration project must comply with the provisions of 310 CMR 15, Title 5 regulations, and 248 CMR, Uniform State Plumbing Code, and implement a town-authorized monitoring and inspection plan approved by the Department of Environmental Protection, Mass DEP. Such plan may include the assessment of a reasonable fee by the Board of Health to implement the monitoring and inspection plan. Section 2. Notwithstanding any general or special law to the contrary, said property owners may opt to connect to the sewer system and will retroactively pay betterment fees if their property lies within the sewer service area and complies with the Department of Environmental Protection approved CWMP at the discretion of the Board of Selectmen at a public hearing. The Board of Selectmen shall adopt regulations within 120 days after the adoption of this act, establishing publication and notification procedures to carry out the purposes of this section. Section 3, this act shall take effect upon its passage or do it in any other action. I would recommend we spell out CWMP as Comprehensive Wastewater Management Plan.
Right.
Yep.
I would also recommend, as I was reading it, Board of Health be capitalized. Last sentence of the first section. I saw another.
Right.
And DEP is also capitalized.
Can we go back to the third line on section 1?
Yeah. she
You,
read it
you
differently than what
you inserted Eric's piece, which we decided not to insert. On the third line, between owners and who,
Yep. So within the sewer service area is not included there.
like, but you did, you
I
read
did
it.
include it because I thought it was.
No.
No, we
Okay.
didn't.
So that now reads, for homeowners or business property owners
Chosen.
who are chosen to participate.
Yes, and I took that, yep. Good.
Also in that same line, this is nitpicking, but just to make sure no one was confused. The first words of that line are attributed to sewer construction. You read out sewer connection.
That's right.
Construction. Yep.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right.
Sewer construction, okay.
As it's printed.
She just
As
read
printed.
it. She just read it.
As
I read it
printed.
wrong.
Fine.
The people who are in the program now, yeah, I didn't hear it, and they put it, let's say they put it in now. It says this would be enacted 120 days after the adoption of the act. So are they be included then? Or are they retroactively grandfathered into this?
If they're in a sewer,
But they're
in
not
the
in-
sewer service area, which is not the
But none of
case
them
for
are.
anybody.
The time they
None
go
of
for
them
the
are.
betterment.
None of them are, right, but if they were, it would be included, should something happen in the next 2 months.
Yeah, this doesn't say that installation has to be after the law passed. It just says to be approved by the selectmen.
Okay, I suggest we approve it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right, do we need a final vote on that, having heard it read?
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah.
A motion to accept it as read? By Ron and seconded by Matt? Sure. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. For the benefit of our nationwide television audience and for the press and whoever else is paying attention here, the committee has done 3 things tonight, which are going to be transmitted to the Board of Selectmen tomorrow for their consideration as town meeting articles at the November town meeting. Okay. One of them is the flow neutral bylaw. The reason the committee is supporting that is that in order to get a 0% loan for any of these wastewater and nitrogen mitigation projects we're talking about, we have to have a flow neutral bylaw on the books. So that's the reason for that one. The second one, the special legislation about betterments, is a number of steps that other towns have taken, and this town should take, that would make the cost to the homeowner in any area that's being sewered lower. It spreads, it gives the town options. So if the selectmen want to, they can spread the payments out for longer, they can charge less interest than the state law currently allows, a number of steps that are designed for that purpose. Okay. And the third one is the one you just saw tonight. We have this Eco Toilet incentive program in place where anybody who's willing to install the Eco Toilets in all of their bathrooms will get a $5,000 grant from the town. This gives them an additional incentive if they're in a sewer service area, which is if and when the sewer gets built, they don't have to hook up if they are part of this program and are contributing nothing by way of nitrogen to the groundwater. So those are the 3 pieces that are going to the selectmen. They'll consider them and hopefully put them on the warrant for the town meeting. That's what we've been doing. And the people who have spent the most time on this last one, Matt and Wynn, if you want to say something, please do.
We're pleased that it's passed at this
Yeah.
point.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So,
great.
just one little wrinkle is, and, you know, we're, I think, all assuming that this test project we have for eco-toilets is going to prove to be successful. But if, you know, down the road, we find that they simply can't manage the nitrogen removal that we expect them to, how does that affect what would happen in, say, the sewer service area? Is that something that we need to even think about at this stage?
Well, given that there are no installations in the sewer
Service
service
area.
area,
We
we're
don't need
talking
to-
about something hypothetical, first of all. And the second is, this is still, the selectmen are the ones that have the discretion. And obviously, if we finally get to that point, which is clearly several years out, they will know whether DEP and the Board of Health agree that there is sufficient nitrogen removal from the installations. So everybody will be better educated at that point when the decision needs to be made.
And there is a risk that these things may turn out to be not as efficacious as everybody hopes. That's a risk that this committee and this town are willing to take in this limited fashion to encourage people to find out if they're efficacious.
And it applies to others of the demonstration projects we're working on, too.
I think that's exactly right, because the data that we get from this experiment, this demonstration project, is very valuable. I think everybody in this Commonwealth is waiting to see what happens. And, there are people across the country who are waiting to see what happens. So it's a valuable project. Either way, the information will be valuable.
Steve?
But the combination of what John and Virginia just said tells me that, to be completely honest, a group that is urging a particular householder to put in eco-toilets should explain that risk. Should be upfront
That this
about
is a
that.
demonstration project.
That what you
might
just said is
not.
if it doesn't work, they may not get exemption from the betterment.
But we're not
Essentially
defining
what I heard
what
you
does not
say.
work.
It's unlikely to happen because they're unlikely to do it, but we're talking now about talking to a person who is saying they're interested in doing it.
I think if they join the demonstration program and participate fully and comply with all of its rules, no one will come back later and say, this doesn't apply to you, just because we found out later that the installations aren't as good as we think. They are still eligible for the selectmen to exempt them. Am I right?
Yeah.
It is true, however, that we've pointed out tonight that the selectmen have the final say on who gets exempted from a betterment and who doesn't get exempted from a betterment. That's what I understand that we've said.
Right. And you should let them know that,
Yeah.
so that
It's not an automatic thing.
Right.
right.
And we haven't
And
made
at
it
this
one.
point, it hasn't passed town meeting or the legislature, so
Right.
definitely not automatic.
Or even the Board of Selectmen.
Well,
We'll start with them. Which segues very nicely into item 4 on the agenda, which is the update on eco-toilet installations.
Yes, so when we did the CWMP final version, there were some numbers, and I'm giving you an update on those. There are now 6 permitted and near complete installation of eco-toilets. That's 2 up from June. So 4 that we've reported in the final CWMP, but in the past few months, we've gotten a couple more through permitting and into the installation phase. So 6. We have 1 permit application now in process in addition to that, so it makes 7, and that's up to 1 because we didn't have any in the pipeline.
What's the breakdown for those 7? Urine diverting or composting?
There's 1, 2, 3 composting, 1 self-contained, 1 vacuum system, 1 urine diverting, and 1 hybrid.
What is the vacuum?
It's a composting
It's a
system.
composting system.
Oh, okay. And the self-contained is what?
A composting system that's got the composter right underneath the seat. That's 1 unit. not a remote composter in a
Oh,
different place.
okay.
Look in the window via Eastern Hardware.
Oh,
Okay, so that's the breakdown on that. We are working through final installation details for 9, which is down 2 from 2 because the 2 that we were working through have now gotten through permitting. And of these 9, I spent some time.
This is in addition for the 7, excuse me.
This is
Total
in addition.
16.
All right, okay.
Yes.
Total 16.
We have a total of 21 people in the pipeline. I'm giving you the breakdown. 6,
6 and 9.
6. I'm not done yet.
I know, but you got more to come about.
6 plus 1
You
is
can't
7.
slide anything by this group.
So 9 are in the design
One
stage?
is in. Oh, one is in, 27.
9 is in the design stage. 9 are in the design stage. And I would have to say of those 9, 6 are almost definite and 3 are still maybe. So you know who you are if you're telling me you're definitely doing this, but I haven't seen anything from you yet. And there are a number. There are 6 people who are definitely doing it, and they've gotten price quotes, and they are thinking about what they're doing. We haven't gotten the paperwork. And I periodically check in and are trying to encourage and see if there's anything we can do program-wise to get there. But, there are things going on. And then there are 7, which brings us up to the 21, still considering it.
23.
Don't do my math. 7 and 9 is 16.
And 7 is 23.
And 7 is 23, but the 3, right, but then there are 3 that are probably, that moved, yes. So say 4 that are considering it.
Okay.
Good. And then the other major stats is that we had 155 people that we contacted in June, and we've contacted 3 more since then. And we've done 3 more site visits since then. So we're continuing to bring people in as they request. So I guess the net of it, I would say, is that I feel very confident in saying we're going to get 15 installations unless everybody who says they're doing it drops out, and I don't think that's going to happen.
Okay.
And then there's a chance that we'll be able to get a few more. And that's getting us to the demonstration group 1 grant or incentive payment that the Board of Selectmen, $80,000 that the Board of Selectmen have approved. And that's where it comes out.
Now, question. At this point, what would the time frame you would set and the conditions you would set, at which point we would start thinking about going to the selectmen and saying, Group 2 is now on what kind of time frame?
That's a very good question. And what I would like to see are a few of the urine diverting installations go in. And I would like to see what happens. The people who have been saying yes have been saying yes for months. And to me, it's not a yes until they've filed an application.
Sure, absolutely.
And so until I get at least a dozen of these, when I feel like a dozen applications have gone in, then I'd start thinking about it.
Okay.
Because these are people who are definitely going to do it, but it's been almost a year of definitely going to do it. So I'd like to make sure they get in the pipeline before we start asking for it.
Well, I'm asking
Time
that.
myself,
I'm asking that question because I'm thinking about the next step in getting more people into the program and what we have to do to get more people into the program. The next, if we have 16 or 17 or 18 who are in, but we need at least 20 more, let's say, to make the program work. We know we need that many. We need to know where we're going to get them from and how we're going to get them and what process we've got to go through to get them.
Okay.
And that's going to take a while.
Right. And the thing I would offer is there are a dozen people who have said, keep us informed for the
Yes.
next wave.
So then
So there is
yeah.
there's a pipeline.
But we're going to have to get some more.
But
Yeah.
a number of these people want to see the installations
Right.
actually
Yeah, sure.
done.
Sure.
So I think we've got a few, 5 almost completed, and I think when we start to get the second group, these almost definite into the pipeline, we can start thinking about getting that third wave who have said, contact us when the first group is coming.
Right. And to try to get more people to contact.
And then
Yeah.
work on getting more people.
Yeah. Good.
Unless there's anything else.
We like numbers, and make it even more complicated. Can you summarize in any kind of simple way, how many of these installations involve different numbers of conventional toilets being taken out and more than one alternative toilet being put in? I mean, for instance, one possibility is all of these people had only one toilet, and now they have only one eco toilet. Or they could have had two standard toilets, they're taking them both out, but they're only putting one alternative in. Or two and two, or
Okay,
just, I mean, I don't want
generally,
all the
it's a
possibilities.
one-for-one. If you have two, you're putting in two. If you have one, you're putting in one. Of all of these, nobody's got three toilets. It's two or less so far.
If what you're getting at, Steve, is that it may mean more usage,
No,
more,
I'm just curious.
it goes by the bedrooms, determines how much contribution to.
How many volume, yeah.
I think I'm right, if you aren't replacing all of them, you're out of the program.
Right, you have to replace them.
No, you could take out
can
5 and
cap.
put in 1. You just can't have any standard ones, right?
I'll put in, take out 5 and put in 1.
Nobody's going to do that, but there's no rule
Yeah,
yet.
there's no rule that says you can't. Yeah.
Well, you could have an extra one in the basement that you decide you're not going to use.
You have to cut it out.
Use it,
All right.
and because it would be hard to replace it because it's on the
That's right.
side.
Yeah, that's right.
Any other comments or questions? I'll piggyback on Matt's point, which is that others are watching. Because what we've discovered in this exercise is that everybody talks about eco toilets, but nobody has done anything about them until the town of Falmouth stepped up to the plate and took on the hard task of actually putting them into people's houses on a scientifically measurable basis to see where the results take you. No one's, you would know, no one else has done this.
And I had no idea how difficult it was.
Well, Matt's having it put in his house now, so you're going to have an idea.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm going to put in 3 urine diverting toilets. I'll have to apply to the Board of Health.
I've heard this.
But I'm not going to go through the program.
No, that's right.
You can charge for visitors and make them one.
I just have
Yes.
You could charge double.
No, if this, no, I was just gonna go back. I was wondering, is, we kind of moved ahead. Was this closed, this discussion on
If there's any further discussion on eco toilets, if not, I guess we're
When was talking?
I just had a question, I think. The 3, as you mentioned, you summarized the 3 town meeting articles, basically. Are we going to put those online so people can see them? Okay.
Sure.
Just wanted to be sure.
tomorrow morning.
You were saying,
I think we
you
had-
explained what they were and said how.
We had to wait until the committee acted, but
Yeah,
it might
right,
be
right.
online tomorrow.
Oh, okay, I just wanted to, we hadn't discussed that.
Subject to children's consent.
Did I get the town manager approval before I put them on?
Well, the committee voted them. We're not-
But there's
They're
selectmen.
appropriate to go
The
on
selectmen
our
are
website.
certainly welcome to
Oh,
change
it's our
them if
website,
they wanted.
right.
I mean, the next step is for them to take them on, and if they want to modify them, that's certainly a privilege. But the fact that they're being filed for a town meeting article makes
That's
it
true.
makes it
Public document.
pretty public.
Okay.
So, yeah,
I just, because you mentioned that they were, but if people want to really look at the details.
they'll be online tomorrow. Okay, discussion on the fact sheet for a nitrogen control bylaw for fertilizer, which was sent around to everybody, and everybody got to see it. Why don't you explain what the purpose,
doing this?
how it came about, and what we're doing with it, and what the input you want is.
Sure. The town passed our nitrogen control bylaw for fertilizer, and we're now looking at enforcement. And the Department of Marine and Environmental Services Enforcement Officer Chuck Martinson was hoping to have some direction or something to hand out. And the town manager's office suggested that we put together a simple flyer that if somebody was found in violation or there was an enforcement event happening, there'd be something friendly to hand to that person so that they would know how to comply with our new bylaw. And so what I tried to do on the first page, I looked at the Falmouth Friendly Lawns brochure and tried to get some information, because that was a very information pack, it's information packed. But what we tried to do on the first page is simplify the bylaw and put it into a terminology that people could understand, and then gives the highlights in the bullet points. And then on the back, in smaller font, because it won't fit on one page, to try to get into some of the details for people that wanted to have a little bit of a research document in front of them. I want to add that Ron had a great idea he sent me by email today, which was to include the NOFA, which is the Northeast Organic Farmers Association. They have a list of organic lawn care professionals. So adding on the last line that instead of just calling Green Cape, also supplying the NOFA phone number would be an additional way to get people. This second page is really to try to get people a little more information who really want to dig into it. I mean, they're going to have to do more, but without starting it out. And so comments on the readability, the simplicity, making it shorter, not longer, that's the kind of information, helping get.
I was going to say, Enough has put out a book, like a 54-page booklet called Introduction to Organic Lawns and Gardens. And this is for the Northeast. It's for our region, basically. So this is something that I mentioned to see if we can reference, because it has examples of real things that happen, so people can actually get an idea of things. I mean, what we have prescribed is a guidance document that actually how to do it. Things like this, but probably more. But this is one that I found. This is a nonprofit farmers organization
Ron, have you looked through that document to see how close we are to?
That was the question I had. I hadn't gone through that.
I looked at it, and it is very, it's more conservative than certainly if you follow what they say, you're not going to violate our bylaw.
Okay, good. Okay, good.
Okay, and after the comments or whatever from the committee, it's going to where?
We thought that the next step would be to have Environmental Faces has agreed to look at it, the Buzzards Bay Coalition has agreed to look at it, and Jill Holdren at OPET Faces
Wendy
and so Wendley and Jill Holdren and Buzzards Bay Coalition have all agreed to take a look at it and support it, and maybe even help us getting it printed in a sort of more
trifold glossy.
Yeah.
APC maybe will too.
APCC is a very good idea, actually.
Yes.
You might, I suppose you tend eventually to see if the enterprise will be
Printing the whole thing, I mean? I'm just, the whole thing, one page or
Well, it's part of that spring garden section they do.
Yes.
You're totally
You could
appropriate.
also work with the garden centers to see what
Mahoney's-
format they might like, what they think people would take and not use.
Well, we're hoping
Yes.
to do two things. One is I'm hoping, when I contacted Faces and DPC, they wanted us to draft it, but they, once it was drafted, seemed to consider being willing to start broadcasting it and getting it out. So we're hoping to let them do some of that public education. It, of course, has to go for approval to the town manager's office. So we're going to get input from these groups, and I think it's a good one to add. And then it's going to go to the town manager's office for their authorization for it to be an official document for the town of Falmouth. So that our enforcement officer can hand it to people. And it's the primary goal for us. And then what these other groups care to do with it for education purposes, secondary.
You might want to then put draft somewhere on it.
Yes.
Yes, I should.
Yes.
A watermark everything.
You think it's going to be too big to put in the bill inserts?
Oh, yeah.
Would you
I mean,
also,
you have up to an ounce that we're paying for, the town pays to send those bills out, so.
Or you pay a little more, you put in.
Well,
We're not paying more. They made that clear a year ago.
That's right. If it were printed back to back, it's one sheet, and there would be room in the envelope for that.
If the water department wanted to do that.
Normally, an ounce is 4 of these pages, and clearly the water bill isn't going to, you don't have the equivalent of 4 sheets.
Right.
So,
If the town-
as a consideration.
If the town wanted to do it, that would be nice.
It's in our best interest.
yes,
I really like the garden centers, because that's the point at which people are getting expert advice on whether to buy the bad fertilizer or the good fertilizer. And if the pricing structure is right, and it's in the interest of the garden center to sell the good fertilizer, then you can have a very good relationship.
I think during the FACES program, Mahoney's and those places were pretty positive about helping.
I
out.
agree.
they'd like to see this again. They'd like to have it available, yeah. What about, you mentioned Green Cape at the end. Are you going to run it by them too? By Green Cape? And
I hadn't put them on the list, but now they are. Yes.
that would get it to Chip Osborne. They're the people who sponsor Chip Osborne. And it seems to me it would be
We
useful.
didn't put any commercial vendors on.
Right, right,
Obvious reasons.
yeah, right.
But yes, so we've got APCC, Faces Open, BBC, and Green Cape. Ask for feedback from them. Unless the committee says they like it.
Okay. Is there a motion along those lines?
Move who like it.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we like it.
It's very good. I really.
Good work. Yeah,
Right.
it really is.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We like it. Thank you. Okay, other reports of committee members and staff. Steve, I know has something, we want to talk about Oyster Pond a little bit.
Want me to do that now?
Yeah, why not?
You all should have this draft needs assessment from last time, or picked it up from Jerry.
I'll be at DPW.
Waiting for you. And Eric has agreed that October 3rd might be a reasonable meeting to discuss it, and, which may seem a ways off to people, but if you don't have to read it, but if you are going to read it and comment on it, I would most appreciate it if you did it well in advance of the October 3rd meeting, so I could forward those comments to Wright Pierce, because it would be a complete waste of time to ask him complicated technical questions while he's sitting here and has no way of researching the answer. And Virginia has already done an excellent job on that, and I did not quite as good job on it. And so I'd really like to hear from everybody else. And I'm also proposing that the working group has gone over this fairly extensively, and it's not a highly controversial political kind of thing, like one of these articles. It's a technical needs assessment. So I propose that we post it on the web and use our constant contact database and not necessarily any other method, but I'm going to object to that, to notify people in the watershed that it's available for them to look at on the web, and also get their comments ahead of time, which I'm willing to collate. And I can send those to Wright Pierce. And that way on October 3rd, we could have, I would hope, a much more productive meeting.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
So I want to move that we can post it as a draft.
Yeah, that seems fair. That's it. Okay, there's a motion, and for a second somewhere.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye, you do.
Done.
So October 3rd would be both a committee discussion and a just public input discussion
Yeah, but-
with a Wright Pierce representative or two.
Well, that's a fair question, and we want to check the contract and see how many rate peer sessions we're paying for, so that we don't run short. This may not have to be one, but if we have enough, we should have them. We've run into this in other situations.
I don't feel strongly that they have to be here, but
You may do it pro
if
bono.
we have, we have to drive all the way down to Maine.
Oh,
in
I
Portland.
forgot about the other guy.
But Mike comes around.
If we don't need both of them.
We'll
Mike
discuss it
comes
with
in-
them if they want.
Yes, if they can.
Yes, if we can get it. It's
Okay.
not a check against
I
us.
think we have quite a few meetings from them in the contract.
But we want to check. We don't want to shortchange ourselves at the other end.
Yeah, the other end would compete.
And the, I don't know if you want to spend time discussing it now, but there's this issue of sampling the rain for nitrogen. I could say something about that and see, because if it's, or is it silly?
Yeah, at this point, no one's proposing sampling the rain at this point. I'm suggesting that we need to look at data that's already been collected.
On that subject, does anyone have any opinion about what has been happening to the rain over the past 15 or 20 years since we have taken out a lot of the coal plants, and we've done a lot to the nitrogen in coal plants in the Midwest and elsewhere?
That is the issue.
That is the issue.
How
You got
much
it.
of a change has occurred,
Right.
and should it affect TMPO?
Right.
Matt?
We've made the rain less acidic. There's still plenty of nitrogen coming from coal plants to the south, from the south, and also from Brayton Power Plant, which is right in Somerset. That's a huge contributor of nitrogen and nitrous oxides and sulfur dioxide.
You mentioned our internal combustion engines in our cars.
Well, that's what I said
Yeah.
earlier, you know. Auto traffic is, what is it, 50%? It's close to 50% of the pollution load level from burning fossil fuels comes from automobiles, trucks.
Yep.
Darn little from yours. Okay, any other comments or questions on that? Ron? Oh, here's a,
Question on that meeting, if we're going to have and be inviting the OPA folks, do we want to have it here, or do we think a large venue would be helpful?
all right, here it is, right here. Yeah, it's not like mobs are going to show up. You know, if you might get half a dozen, that would be great.
Yeah, that would be great. Okay, so post it.
Ron?
I have a couple of topics. The first is the organic oyster project.
Yes.
Well, first of all, I circulated to everyone the PowerPoint presentation that the Russell County Cooperative Extension presented a couple months ago in Hyannis at the Coastal Conference. And it's interesting, when you look at it, you'll see that there's a lot of parallel work being done to what we're doing. So there'll be some good complementary things happening. So when we're communicating with them, you see it's been contact with Diane Murphy, going back and forth on a lot of different aspects. And so that was good. And then I also visited the area, and the Astor family, Paul and Marianne were out, and they came over and started talking about their enthusiasm. They're thrilled about it, basically. And they said that this is 1 year, but they said that they're marveling at the change in water quality, although I can't say that it's all that from the project, but I think the oysters are growing very quickly, very fast in there. But the clarity of the water and the aroma of Little Pond has changed markedly. So they were saying that there was no issue this year so far, and they were commenting too that they said even in July, when it was that really hot period where they're become accustomed to that, so they were very, very enthusiastic about it. And as far as and they like the whole thing going on in their literally in their backyard, and the view of it and everything. It's not an issue, but I think a lot of this has to go to the volunteers, the staff, to Chuck Martinson and Greg and Sia and Chuck and
Dan?
yeah, Dan Bugera and Matt Weeks, and the whole group, especially the volunteer force as well. I mean, it's been a very responsive and a very good relationship. Besides, it's incredibly responsive. And when I was there, something had come loose, and actually Paul pointed it out to me. So so this come loose. I just sent a quick email to Matt Weeks and to Dan, and that afternoon, within a couple hours, they were there tying it up again. So it's that kind of thing, working with the neighbors and this kind of thing that's going on there. So that's good to see. It's going as well as can be almost better than expected in some ways, but it's going very smoothly, and we've gotten very good community relations with it as well.
Could I ask a question?
Yeah.
As I remember, there's a storm drain that comes down
Yeah.
Narragansett Street, and that's the street that they're using to move the equipment in and out. Is there, and so it's two parts to this question, is there any sampling being taken during a rain event of the water quality from that storm drain? And then my second question is, we just had a really torrential rain 48 hours ago, and has the freshening of the pond in that area had any effect on the oysters?
I haven't heard anything about that. I wouldn't expect it, because the salinity was high, and it was like one event. It
I
wasn't
see.
like June, which was like 13 inches of rain or whatever it was. that
I
really
see.
did.
Okay.
I mean, it would have affected them, but
Yeah.
Keep two things in mind. One, at that point, we had that problem with some mortality.
Right, right.
Because we had tiny animals.
Yes.
And what happens when the salinity drops, it drops like to under 5 parts per thousand versus the 33 in Vineyard Sound, they stop feeding, and they have no reserves. So they're bigger now, and so it's
So they have some
particularly an
reserves.
issue. And
Good point.
and the other thing is that last summer, we put them in remember the test case, and the bags were right in front of the drain. And that night, there was a torrential shower, so they're right at the end of the road, but they were half-inch. They weren't 4 millimeter, whatever, 6 millimeters. They were like,
So they were more susceptible.
they were more,
At that time.
this year, because of that and a few things. So, yeah, so that hasn't been an issue. I don't know, on the monitoring of I think we do have a.
Yes, as part of the monitoring
Yeah.
contract for the Little Pond, they are expected to monitor rain events and get us the data. We haven't gotten the results of that. They actually were to delineate the zone of contribution for that drain. And
Right.
test it. So that's in the contract. So yes.
Okay. Good.
And then just one more thing, excuse me, there's something else, but on the project, we had a meeting on Tuesday afternoon to talk about the next phase, moving toward winter, and what to do. And so there's several options that are being looked at, and I think we may have to come back to the committee to advise about any changes we may have coming.
Sure. I mean,
Yeah,
one of the questions is what to do about the overwinter.
Right.
The initial plan was to drop them, and that would have been in the area that had been delineated, the 2-acre project area, but the bottom seems less desirable for that. And so the experts are now convening to look at, this is my research with Barnstable County, Dan, Matt, Chuck, we're all looking at, does it make sense to go to conservation and ask for a modification to the order of conditions to allow us to drop, to overwinter in a different area? So it would be basically outside of the 2-acre growing area, closer to Vineyard Sound in a sandy bottom area. And that's one option. The other option is do we pit, which was always part of the mix. Do we take them out and put them basically into a root cellar for oysters? And there are pros and cons to all of these. And then the other is, do we take this seed, the first batch, and put them into an open area where they're still too young to be harvested, but they could, there's a lot of predation and problems. So there's a number of factors that we're trying to weigh the pros and cons of really what the best solution is because of the size of them. We thought they were going to be bigger, the first batch. And then the second batch is smaller, so we're trying to weigh these options.
Without finished growing yet.
And they're not finished growing yet, but we're trying to plan ahead.
Yeah.
But when do you have to decide?
I think the decision we'd like to make sooner rather, I think what came out of the meeting on Tuesday was if we have to ask for an amendment or a modification to the order of conditions, to keep that option open, doing it sooner rather than later makes sense. So I guess you bring up a very good question, which I hadn't quite gotten to, which is, should the Water Quality Management Committee vote to do that? Should we have a vote where the Water Quality Management Committee authorizes us to do that? Or is that just part of what it's the project team does? Sorry to bring it up now, but that's the sort of question, just to keep our options open. Because the decision hasn't been made yet. I mean, Chuck and Matt and Dan and Meyer and John Brawley has been great about weighing in.
No additional cost, right?
Yeah, pro bono, I mean, he's been terrific.
No, I meant with changing this stuff around.
No, it's within the
No.
board.
Yeah, so it's-
There's no cost implication. Another thing is that, with their points, is that I think that for our demonstration project, that we should look at everything, okay? So that if we decide, it depends on the labor force this year, maybe some could be done next year, but if, for example, this year we do all of the bottom overwintering, okay, possible. Or we do bottom overwintering as needed in these different areas, and some pitting, so we can see how it does. Because this is a demonstration, right? We wouldn't put all our eggs in that one basket, so to speak, but we would look at to see how it does. Now, whether it's this season, it's not so necessary this year. We could do it next year, or depending on their workload. That's what I'm concerned about. Is that what they've done this year has been astronomical. It's been a huge task to do. And now they're working out this overwintering. Now, next year we'll know more about those aspects, and there will be maybe a little more room to do the other testing. But if they have time and are interested, we could put some bags in a root cellar somewhere where I think that Chuck Martinson had some ideas about this as well.
I don't think it's ever been the practice or the intent of this committee to micromanage this project.
Yeah, right.
We set aside a certain amount of money
Yeah.
and set a goal and said go to it. And all along the way, you've
Right.
found you've had to adapt to the circumstances that you
Very
found.
much,
So,
yeah.
as
So
far
is
as I'm
this-
concerned, you don't need any more votes from here. You just
Okay.
keep on adapting.
Okay,
And
well,
just
we
keep on informing, right? That's the other
Well,
part.
that was why I raised it, is because this will be a committee to a committee thing, because we'll be approaching the Conservation Commission
Right.
if we do go that route, which seems like we would like to. So it's just so people are aware of that.
Just some basic statistics. Batch one, the ones that first went in, the total number was, how many million?
1.25.
1.25. Okay. And then the second batch, which is the batches to be overwintered, total number was
Same.
1.25. And when did that second batch go in?
It's in the upweller right now,
So it's not in the pond
and it's
yet?
been tested.
Yes?
We're waiting for the test results,
Okay.
and then it's to be deployed
This fall.
in the next
September.
week or so.
Okay.
Now.
Are you on schedule?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're on
You
schedule.
expected to deploy them in September?
Right, the second batch is yes. Well,
I thought it
probably
was
sooner.
August.
Sooner.
It was the end of August.
Right, but there were some delays, but that batch is kind of an anomaly, because in the actual plan, if everything works out the way we see it now, is that there will only be one early batch. Okay, it'll be only the early batch, only one batch a year, because the overwintered ones would be essentially the first batch would be the overwintered ones, the second batch would be the new batch coming in, so you have two-year classes growing. And some of the oysters from last year have reached, that they're finding it were small, and now they're already commercial size, so they're, in the estuaries, they're growing much faster than they are in the sound because it's full of food. Okay, basically, there's no limitation on what they are able to take up. And, well, maybe not, I mean, could be, ultimately, we have to, that's a whole balancing act that will be worked out. But the good news, the really good news is that the project, from everyone's viewpoint, has possibly already started improving the conditions, but from the local viewpoint, subjective, still there, odor, transparency, and what we're getting more data is that it hasn't worsened the condition. Okay? So it's probably added something. So it's really, no, but we wouldn't have expected it to worsen anything. But just you don't know. So it's really it's quite amazing to see. I don't know, we should probably give the committee a tour at some point, anyone who's interested, because
that would be really
I don't think
nice.
you've seen
Yes.
the bags and you can talk to the neighbors if they're around, or we can arrange it so that you could interview, talk with them and see the upwellers, see what's happening, and that would be
That's a good idea.
something we could do.
Yeah, bring the fourth estate along.
Yeah, bring it up.
You'd like to see it too.
Yeah, he's actually been out there a couple of times. Did a great article on the volunteers.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, well, figure out a date and pass it around, because we'd be
Right.
happy to do
Okay,
that.
okay, we'll try and check with,
This is all fantastic, very good news. What I'm about to say is not to put down oysters at all, but at the beginning and then again at the end, you mentioned how one of the neighbors said they could already see changes.
yes. Well,
How much of that is placebo effect, and how much could you actually see?
you can
Because
see,
if with just a little bit you had there in July,
yeah.
did that, and by the time you're going full blast, you'll have Perrier water.
Right. That's the point. Okay, it's possible. I mean, that's, for this size, look, we're looking at, they happen to live right next to where they are right now, where the thing is operating. So the major impact is right there, right? Not the whole pond.
It's like standing right in front of the fan.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Right? You're
Yeah.
getting the majority of
You're getting it. It's like,
ventilation.
right.
So you think there really is something observable?
Yes. I mean, I think there is, if you move to other parts of the pond, it's not.
But you don't have actual samples yet.
We do, we have the data, but we don't have enough data yet from this year to know really, but if we had all that rain in June as well, that did at least that initial flushing, by now, we should have gotten pretty, because the summer was relatively dry, except for the beginning. So by mid-August, it should have been back to that quote fish kill kind of setting we had last year. But then again, it's hard one year to the next. I'm just saying that what they're seeing and the impression they have is very good. And ultimately, we will be learning about how to do this throughout an estuary, whether doing it one spot like this, which is the way it came out in this case, where we do spread it around. It may just be along the edges with access points as needed, and thereby even the viewscape would be less. But so far, I can't. I'm just
You
saying.
put about 5 oysters in front of each house. Everybody thinks it's a huge improvement.
Right. So,
5,000 oysters in front
But
of each
anyway,
house,
but it's a
yeah.
point. I mean, I'm just saying that things are looking and feeling pretty good. But then again, one downside that has nothing to do with the oyster health or with the, I think it's for shellfish on Cape Cod. There's been a Vibrio thing, which is it affects people's health. It affects your your intestinal system and everything. Basically. But that's something. I think there were 50 cases that were found across in the area, of which 20 came from imported oysters and 30 were from local. And so part of what's being tested with our animals is if that's there, and if it is, we may have to retain them, and the ones we have in the harbor for a bit longer, or I don't know. We'll have to see what DMF tells us. So that's one. So.
I have just a very quick question. Ron, I haven't heard you say what variety of oysters we put in.
With the local variety, which is the
Atlantic oyster.
Castria virginica, which goes from
The Atlantic oyster,
Mexico
basically, yeah.
to Nova Scotia.
Okay, so it's just the local
Yeah,
variety?
it's the local variety.
All right. Not the Japanese variety that's
No,
big. It's
none of the
okay.
Pacific. We're only working with indigenous species.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
That's terrific.
Yeah.
Well, this is, I always tend to this. Anyway, but, yeah, so, I don't know if there's anything else.
Anything else on the oysters?
I have one thing on oysters. I'd just like to bring to the attention of the group something I discovered a couple of weeks ago. A friend of mine brought this book to my attention. It is a nice little book. I will bring it back next time after I've read it and people can borrow it. I'm in the middle of reading it. It's a very good journalistic, it's done by a journalist. It's a science writing. It's a very good description of the history and development of the Olympic oysters in Northwest and what has happened to them, and together with a story about how oysters have been cultivated in the Northwest and around the whole Pacific Rim, apparently, by human beings for the last 10 or 15 years, 15,000 years. It's a very interesting book. And it's something, if you want to learn something about how oysters might help us, it has wonderful poetic descriptions of how oysters might help us. And it mentions Wellfleet in here. It's called The Living Shore. The Living Shore by Rowan Jacobson. I wondered whether you'd seen it or not.
I haven't seen it. No, it's good. I'll look it up.
2009 publication. It's a recent publication. And I just recommend it very highly. It's an interesting place, interesting thing for us to read.
Well, in the next edition, they're going to mention Falmouth.
Yes, I hope. Yes.
So good. Yeah, and more on the oysters? Terrific. Thank you.
Yeah, just secondly, we've been, I circulate this around, but we've been looking at the Site 7 aspects for the treated effluent disposal from the proposed new sewer area, planned new sewer area, and in and there've been a number of technical studies done, and one of them was done on on estimating the soil retention of phosphorus from treated wastewater in Crockett Pond. And that report, we had discussed some issues with it, and it was revised. And then I thought it was a good idea to get another opinion or an independent review of it. And that review was done by Dr. Murray McBride at Cornell, who's a soil chemist and has some experience with wastewater in terms of using sludge for agriculture. So he's looked at that aspect. I don't know if there's much more. And he had a look at the report and raised 6 critical comments on the content, and these I've circulated. And the main thing is that he feels that the report is too optimistic, and there's a high degree of uncertainty in the predictions that were done with the information that the consultant had, and they're outlined. One of them is that first one is that he feels the soils at Crocker Pond have a very low capacity to absorb and retain phosphate, and that was our concern. Mainly was phosphate. And he has a number of reasons why his assessment of that has been done, and he has a perspective. It's his career. He's a soil chemist, and he has a perspective of looking at all different kinds of soils, and as opposed to myself, and I think many of us here, we're kind of limited to what we read in the report. So he was concerned about that. And then he said that the cation exchange capacity of the soils, which has to do with phosphate is a cation, is extremely low. And so that was another aspect, and he went through the data and things. And then he was also concerned that the site would likely have low absorption capacity for phosphate, and was concerned that the report didn't look at the full spectrum of cations in the effluent, because the metals like aluminum and calcium and iron that would tend to adhere these cations or tie them up basically in the soil, that there would be competition with other ions as well besides phosphate. So that we only looked at phosphate, but he was concerned about sulfate and organic acids and how those would also be competing for the metals in the soil. And so he felt that a lot of it was done theoretically and not, from an actual experimental determination, which could help a lot with regard to looking at really what would happen with this phosphate uptake. And so he's basically, and then he was concerned about the actual flow rates and how fast it would go through and what ultimately would happen. So he did a very detailed assessment. I think that in the meeting last time, Sia mentioned, again, as I watched with the rest of the worldwide viewing audience, had mentioned that I was concerned about phosphate, and actually that they had overestimated the concentration, and that the data we have from the wastewater treatment plant shows a lower concentration that they were looking at. But I was also concerned about pH, and I kind of let him mention what the pH was, and I just said, look, this is what we have, and then he just came back with this of his own interest. And so I think that in looking at this, I think this is interesting lesson. It's very good to get, if we can, to the degree possible, that we do get other opinions of very technical matters, but in this case, there are a lot of options to look at here. And with regard to the site, and we've discussed some of these things, there's possibilities that if this is, with this uncertainty and high level of risk that he points out anyway, and we get another opinion as well, but that there could be things we can do to look at the site. And I think I talked to George Hoyfelder about this a few months ago, and he was saying that there's certain materials that you can put in the infiltration beds, different soils or sands and different things that will improve uptake, so that we could look at that. That's a possibility. There's cost associated with that, and there's ways that within the plant operation that maybe things could be done to remove more of the phosphate. And there are, then there's a possibility of looking for another site. That's another issue if there would be a better site. But these seem to be more and more issues on the Cape. There was just a report in East Ham about some of the ponds not being affected by treated effluent, but by septic system effluent going into ponds, and they're having to treat them with that one. And we have the Shumat Pond example, which is very close to home. So I think that this review, I think we need to really visit this very seriously and try and understand. And I think it's up to GHD, because Ecologic is their consultant, I think, or else we advise GHD through the chair what to do. But whether we get feedback from, we should get comments from Ecologic, see what their viewpoint on this analysis is, and try and find a way to deal with these questions, because I think that they are quite serious. And he was relatively general, it's a very technical analysis that he did. So I don't know how we'll proceed, but it's something that I think is a pretty serious concern, because he's saying that within a few years we could see an impact in Crocker Pond if his assumptions are Crocker Pond and others, possibly Herring Brook or whatever else is there. So this is something to examine and to digest and go over. But I think that we have something that needs to be looked at.
We did, obviously everybody received it.
Yeah.
We did send it off to GHG and ask them to send it on to Ecologic and have them take a look it over and
Yeah, I think that the head of Ecologic might have been one of his students, sort of, but there are no names on the report.
you may know what
So I'm not sure about this exactly, because she also went to Cornell. And so
It'll be easy to straighten out.
Huh?
It'll be easy to straighten out.
Well, not necessarily. Maybe if you're a soil chemist, Jerry, that's
Not a
news to
seal
me.
chemist. I read the report, and I am sure two scientists talking to one another will
Yeah.
come to a quicker.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
No,
I-
yeah, they'll figure it out, but it's, yeah, okay. Well, let's hope so. I mean, I would
Anyway,
hope so.
that's where it's gone for
Yeah.
the moment, and you're right, this
Okay.
is the kind of thing we want to have answers to.
Right.
When you get these questions.
Because it-
Eric, could I just, I mean, it seems to me anecdotally, we've done the experiment at our infiltration beds that we've been using for the last 20 years. And we have down gradient monitoring wells, and the phosphate levels are incredibly low, so that the absorptive capacity at those wells right next to the infiltration beds are still pulling the phosphate out like mad, even at the closest well. So, it seems to me we're looking at a model and we can actually look at what's going on at our infiltration beds. And I would say from the data that we have that the picture is pretty optimistic. So, and the ground, we're in the moraine in the same place. It's a totally adjacent parcel of land.
Did you send them the groundwater wells? I know you sent them.
I didn't send the groundwater well report. I got that, yeah, I got that, actually Liz Moran had sent me something in the spring of email saying that there was some data in that, and I didn't,
So, I mean, basically, he may not have had all the information. That's what I'm talking about. Two scientists talking to one another to say, this is my database. The other
yeah,
one
no, it's
said,
fine, it's fine. I think they should. Yes.
Because we've done the experiment.
Right.
Maybe not, he might not think
I
it's.
was basing it on the report. The report we are making decisions on.
We'll leave it up to the scientists to talk to each other.
Right. But, there is, and the thing is that it is possible, there is something going on. We don't know really what the difference in the soils are with the wastewater treatment plant. It's nearby, of course, but there could be, how much difference there is. But even if there isn't, there is phosphorus moving through the soil, even in these wells.
Possibly.
Well, there is, well, according to the data, the well data.
Well, we'll wait and see. How much? And this may be nothing, it may be serious.
I'm not sure that last statement is
It's
correct.
true. I didn't want to get into a debate.
I'm not debating, I'm just telling you what we have. and
Okay,
they can
I
work
think
it
we've
out,
got
yeah.
the picture.
Yeah.
It probably isn't going to be better informed by any of us here tonight. So why don't we let the experts take it on and see what they have to say. Any comments or discussion? Any other points from any other committee members or staff? Jerry?
I talked to GHG today on a number of things, and the fishing pier came up, and quite honestly, he brought up something I was unaware of, that a fishing pier in the middle of the bridge, like the one in Bowens Pond, will cost a lot more than a fishing pier at the beginning of the bridge. It basically goes over the abutment. It's like a platform. And I'm assuming that's what we were talking about.
I think what we're talking about is whatever the Outdoor Access Board wants to pay for. They're the ones who came to us and said, we want to buy you a fishing pier.
Could you send me that information? Might as well have those.
Yeah, they should talk to each other.
Yeah, okay.
But we could also know what the cost difference is.
Well, cost differences would be significant if we have to make structural changes to a bridge.
No, but we don't know what that is, so.
Well, it would cost money to change.
How much?
We'll find out how much the cost.
Okay, that's my point.
Well, we don't have the money to find out how much.
Well, I see. Okay. Well, then, what he's doing is some assessment.
No. The fishing committee is going to pay for it. When we
No,
tell them they're going to be making a change to a structural bridge, why go down that rabbit hole?
But then you just say, they have said that it would be much more costly to do it in the middle of the bridge than.
Because they design bridges and they know you're making the span bigger. I generally know if I shoot myself in the head, I'll die.
You've done it before.
Anyway, okay, well, whatever. I'm not.
I just want following up.
I don't.
Oh, was that your
You have a license.
Metaphorically, it's all metaphorical.
Some of the contacts,
Right.
the right
Yeah,
people
well,
talk
yeah,
to.
well, they should do that.
Mr. Chairman, where's your gavel?
I know, we're about ready to need it. All right, any other reports of committee members and staff before we wind this up? Okay, good.
Let me just say one little thing. I received today, finally, the request that I respond to the 208 thing. I received that on the computer, and I'm supposed to respond whether I'm going to be at that place or not. Finally did receive it. So they're doing something.
Terrific.
But you're going to be on the,
I'm going to be on the Papaneset Walkway Bay group.
I'm on the west side.
Did you receive something from
Yeah,
anybody?
I don't know if I goes that far, but I think it's to Orange Pond at least.
Yeah,
It's
whatever
the
it is,
whole,
On the west side of-
all of Falmouth, west of Falmouth, west coast of Falmouth,
Yeah.
maybe the Cape.
And Buzzards Bay.
Yeah.
It includes Bourne, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm on it.
But everyone's been complaining that they weren't giving us any information. Well, they finally did send out something to us.
Yeah.
Right, discussion and vote on minutes of prior meeting. Everybody received the minutes of the prior meeting? Everybody has had a chance to review the minutes of the prior meeting? Does anybody have any additions or corrections to the minutes of the prior meeting? Hearing
I
none, a
don't know if
motion
I wasn't
Oh, you
there,
weren't
but I
there.
watched it, but
You
that doesn't
abstained.
count.
You abstained.
Falmouth, yeah, I'm staying, I know I abstained.
Move the minutes.
They've been moved and
I'll second it.
seconded to accept the minutes as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? You guys have it. Motion to adjourn. Matt,
So moved, Mr.
second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Done.
Good.
Thank you all.
Good.